Aaron Mate, New York-based journalist. He's from Canada, though, eh?
I don't hold it against him.
I do. And he hosts the show Pushback for the Gray Zone. And he also has his Substack, mate.substack.com. You know, he's the winner of the prestigious Izzy Award for Outstanding Achievement in Independent Media from Ithaca College and the 2022 Pure Spray Journalism Prize. This guy's getting awards left and right.
How did you manage to slip through and get an award before they made those completely not for people who do reporting?
I know. Well, he gets the one that are still for people that do reporting. They're all the independent ones. So Aaron is here, and the reason why we have Aaron is here is because he's reporting on the new Twitter files. Matt Taibbi started that off, and then Michael Schellenberger, and I think Barry Weiss also did a little bit of it. So now it's Aaron's turn. They tagged off. And the FBI is helping Ukraine censor Twitter users, including journalists. The FBI aided a Ukrainian intelligence effort to ban Twitter users and collect their data. Twitter declined to censor journalists targeted by Ukraine, including Aaron Mate. So here is his article about it. FBI, okay. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, that's also known as the FBI, they've aided a Ukrainian intelligence effort to censor social media users and obtain their personal information, leaked emails reveal. In March 2022, the FBI special agent sent Twitter a list of accounts on behalf of the Security Service of Ukraine, the SBU. That's Ukraine's main, that's like their CIA, right? So the accounts of the FBI wrote, they are suspected by the SBU in spreading fear and disinformation. In an attached memo, the SBU asked Twitter to remove the accounts and hand over their user data. The Ukrainian government's FBI-enabled targets extend to members of the media. The SBU list that the FBI provided to Twitter included Aaron Mate's name and his Twitter profile. In its response to the FBI, Twitter agreed to review the accounts for inauthenticity, but raised concerns about the inclusion of Aaron Mate and other American-Canadian journalists. The FBI's attempt to ban Twitter accounts at the request of the Ukrainian intelligence is among the most overt requests for censorship revealed to date in the Twitter files, a cache of leaked communications from the social media giant. The FBI's censorship request was relayed in a March 27, 2022 email from FBI Special Agent Alexander Kobzanits, an assistant legal attaché at the U.S. Embassy in Kiev, to two Twitter executives. So this guy, FBI guy in Kiev, why is the FBI in Kiev? Isn't that wild?
I was just going to ask that. I thought this is a CIA job, and the
Me
FBI
too,
handles domestic.
But the FBI... And here they are trying to get Aaron Mate censored. 4 FBI colleagues were copied on the exchange. Thank you very much for your time to discuss the assistance to Ukraine, he wrote, the FBI guy. I am including a list of accounts I received over a couple of weeks from the Security Service of Ukraine. These accounts are suspected by the SBU in spreading fear and disinformation for your review and concern. So
wow. I thought Miami Cubans were out of line.
Yeah. So let's bring in Aaron Mate. Aaron, now a lot of people try to downplay this because Twitter, in fact, rejected the FBI's request. But the story here isn't that Twitter rejected the request. The story here is that the FBI is trying to censor journalists in America on the behalf of a foreign government.
Of a Nazi secret service.
Yes. That's the story, right?
Run this up the flagpole.
That is the story, and Twitter partially complied. A number of accounts that were on that list that I received were suspended. So Twitter did take action against some of those accounts. Yeah. They just flagged the inclusion of some people like myself. I guess they realized it would look too, draconian or Orwellian to censor journalists simply because the Ukrainian government doesn't like them. But yeah, so my account was spared, but others weren't. And other people on that list, including some Russian politicians, some Russian journalists, and some of those, weren't suspended, but many accounts were suspended. And yeah, as you say, the story here is, why is the FBI, a domestic law enforcement agency, asking Twitter to censor people on behalf of a foreign government? It's like, what law enforcement function does that serve? And the FBI even vetting these lists before they pass them on? And that's the question I asked the FBI, and they wouldn't answer me.
Do you think it might have something to do with the agent in charge being named Alexander with no E before the R? Like it might be a little bit of a split loyalty.
Well, you know what? You know what? There's a funny crossover here. There's so much of a crossover between Russiagate and this Ukraine war. I mean, as we talked about, Russiagate set the stage for the Ukraine war because Russiagate, one of the things it did is it criminalized diplomacy between the U.S. and Russia, and it smeared anybody who dissents from the neocon line as a Russian agent. So this guy, this FBI special agent who's now working out of Kiev in the embassy there, he was also involved in the Mueller investigation. So he went from the Mueller investigation. Yeah. Yeah.
And I was worried about China.
And one of the FBI agents who's copied on that exchange, like who gets the message along with Twitter, is Elvis Chan, he's also an FBI agent who was involved in the Russia investigation too, and later involved in helping to censor Hunter Biden's laptop under the fake pretense it was Russian disinformation. So there's so much overlap here, and it's all part of the same agenda of, targeting voices in the U.S. that the national security state deems to be a threat simply because they dissent from the party line.
So you also go on to talk in your article, it says the disclosure of collaboration on censorship between the FBI and the SBU is the latest documented instance of Ukrainian state-tied attempts to target foreign voices. A Ukrainian website known as, how do you pronounce that, Aaron?
Mirotverets, I don't know.
So nobody knows.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, people, not us. Yeah.
Yeah. Mirotverets. So they have this website. That's the name of it, Mirotverets or whatever. And they have a list of enemies of Ukraine, and they put them on this list.
The death list.
The death list.
Oh, I looked at the debunking. No, it's just a list of enemies that they cross off to let people know who's like a bad... It was unbelievable, the debunking. Like, why would you even have why is a foreign nation even allowed to make a list like that and put Americans on?
I know. Aaron says he was recently added to that list along with the Gray Zone's Anya Parampel, as well as comedian and YouTube host Jimmy Dore. Missed an opportunity to plug my special right there.
But not Max.
COVID lies are funny. Could have put it right
I
in
love
there.
that special. My bad, Jimmy. I love
That's
that special.
okay. We should put it up on Twitter. Anyway, that website database was co-founded by Anton Gurashenko, a former deputy minister at Ukraine's Ministry of Internal Affairs, where he now serves as an advisor. They already have this list, the kill list, and I'm on it. Aaron's on it. Max Blumenthal not on it. Not a threat. That guy.
I know he was hurt a little bit.
When's he going to ramp it up?
He was definitely hurt. Oh yeah, he's offended.
So, and this, of course, hasn't really made any news, has it, Aaron?
No, I mean, you remember there was so much effort put into trying to dismiss the Twitter files. So many attacks on Matt Taibbi. We covered this when I was with you on the Jimmy Dore show. MSNBC did that attempted takedown of Matt Taibbi, trying to focus on like some minor typos out of like hundreds and hundreds of tweets that Matt did. And now you have this story coming out from the Twitter files, a documented case where the FBI is acting on behalf of Ukraine to censor people. And by the way, not just censor them, but also hand over their personal information. Because that SBU, in the memo to Twitter that the FBI passed on, the SBU, the Ukraine Security Service, says, please block these accounts and also give us their user data, which means that Ukraine was asking Twitter, with the help of the FBI, to hand over my phone number, my date of birth, and my email.
Dox you.
Yes, that's what Ukraine was asking for. That's what the FBI was facilitating. So that's the story, and the reaction to that, because there's been so much invested in trying to dismiss the Twitter files, is just everyone ignored it. I mean, you're covering it. Glenn Greenwald covered it. Max Blumenthal and I discussed it at the Gray Zone. Some smaller YouTube shows like Sabby Sabs, she covered it too, I think. But otherwise, it's a total collective yawn.
They're like, there's not enough of this censorship from the government.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And as half the country, or let me put it this way, as Biden voters and Hillary Clinton voters run around and scream about we have to save democracy, democracy has already been taken from them. They're living under a fascist state and a government currently, and they're completely distracted by the shiny object called Donald Trump. Completely
Absolutely.
distracted by it.
I can't believe a group not even as trustworthy as Mossad can have this much influence. The SBU.
Well, I just can't get over how people still claim that Trump is a grave threat. He's not. Again, he's a.
We have word from the intelligence community in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Jimmy, one more thing from the story that I only confirmed after I published it, which is, okay, so after Twitter gets this message from the FBI and they say, okay, we'll take a look at it. So then the Twitter executive who receives the message, he passes it on to other colleagues at Twitter and says, here's the list from the FBI. Take a look at this. Do a deep dive on this, right? And the Twitter executive who Yoel Roth sends this to, his name is William Newland. Now, the last name Newland will be familiar to people who watch the Jimmy Dore show because that is the last name of Victoria Newland, the supreme neocon bureaucrat, worked for Dick Cheney, worked for Obama, is now back under Biden, played a huge role in giving us the proxy war in Ukraine. And William Newland, who was then a Twitter executive receiving this request for censorship from the FBI in Ukraine, he's the half-brother of Victoria Newland.
That's amazing.
So it's just the swamp it's everywhere. And now William Newland now he works for Facebook. He's left Twitter. Now he works for Facebook doing similar things. Where also Li Fang, who you've had before on the Jimmy Dore show, he recently reported that the FBI and Ukraine are collaborating to censor people on Facebook. So it's happening on Facebook. It's happening on Twitter. And the establishment media just yawns because they support this kind of censorship. That's the fascism. That's the authoritarianism that they're on board.
And now you see them all admitting, like Jack Dorsey's like, I didn't know this was happening, and then he really, you didn't know, and then Mark Zuckerberg the other day came out and said, we made mistakes. You're not supposed to make those mistakes. You're not supposed to.
We erred on the side of censorship for the government.
We erred on the side of fascism and censorship for the government. That's exactly what they did. You're supposed to err on the side of freedom and liberty. You're not supposed to err on the other side, you dummies.
Who is he talking to? Lex Friedman, robot to robot?
And this idea,
it's like two chat GPTs.
And this idea that somehow China is more totalitarian than this goddamn place we live in is just amazing. Well, it is. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Jimmy, they monitor everyone there. Is that the world you want to live in?
Did they get people over in China to shame other people for trying to get informed about what their government's doing? Because that's what they did here.
If they were more honest about it and you were under arrest for that, that would be better than this fake thing.
Yeah.
Where the thing that drives me the most crazy is pretending it's not what it is.
Right. I agree.
If they say what the rules are in China, they tell you what the fucking rules are.
Yeah.
I don't like the rules, but
at least you know what they are.
Here, it's super secret probation from Animal House. Double secret. You didn't even know there was a rule till they decided to make it up.
And they'll retrospect those rules. They're now taking down RFK Jr. interviews on YouTube all over the place.
Oh, they had to take down
Theo Vaughn. With Theo Vaughn, they took down.
They did.
Yes. Yeah.
The Hill had to take down the thing about the CIA. Will they kill him?
They took it down. Hill
put it back up with a new title. I tried to watch it, and there was a problem. It was taken down. Then it was back up with. It was probably the same video, but the title, they were told to take that down. I mean, that's not suspicious, right? That's not. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist of like, why would you not be able to say that about the CIA?
Why would the guy who's
in a free goddamn country?
Why would the celebrated lawyer, son of a guy who was killed by the CIA, not be allowed to say that? Isn't that wild that they won't allow?
He's a loony conspiracy theorist, the next Kennedy who has every shot of being unbelievable. Any other family of a victim you would listen to who their suspicions were?
You know, they found more bullets at the scene of RFK Jr.'s murder than were able to be put in Sirhan's gun. There were more bullets.
I never believed the Sirhan thing until now. I'm real open to that. It's a very real possibility. Yeah. I thought it was ridiculous, and now I'm like, I just got done watching those hearings about masks, and I'm like, holy! I mean, also they hid it for 75 years. I'm sure for not because they're guilty.
Not because they're guilty.
I'm sure there's a perfectly reasonable explanation.
To me, the stunner of all time probably is the lack of concern about the Twitter files, and people because people are for it.
I'm just mad that Elon lets people talk on there. That's the only thing I worry about.
So there's that saying, right? That maybe it was like Thomas Jefferson or somebody like that said that the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. And now you know it's
exactly. Is that a drug coming out? What is vigilance? Ask your doctor about vigilance.
Ask your doctor if eternal vigilance is right for you. Hey, come see us live on tour. Be in Bakersfield, Baltimore, San Francisco, Huntington Beach, Rosemont, and Chicago, Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, New York City, Pottstown, Pennsylvania, Stamford, Connecticut, and more. Hey, go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.